Have you ever tried to create a website only to find yourself tangled in a web of links and directories? It can be overwhelming, right? If that's you, then you're in the right place. Today, we're diving into how to generate a recursive sitemap with relative links using Flask. I totally get it. Trying to set up a sitemap can feel like solving a puzzle with missing pieces. You're not alone in this struggle. Many developers face the same challenge when working with Flask and Jinja 2. Here's the specific situation we're looking at. One user recently asked, how do I dynamically build a relative link from my Flask app to subfolders? They mentioned they are using Jinja 2 to generate the sitemap but are stuck on how to specify the URL correctly. Sound familiar? Let's tackle this together. So, what's the issue here? When generating a sitemap, it's crucial to ensure that the links point to the correct paths. If the links are incorrect, users won't be able to navigate your site effectively. We'll break down how to fix this step by step. And stick around. I have a handy tip at the end that will make managing your Flask app's links a breeze. To build a dynamic relative link for your sitemap, the user should modify the Href attribute in their Jinja 2 template. Instead of hard-coding the path, they can use a relative path that reflects the folder structure. Next, the user should ensure that the relative path correctly points to the files within the docs directory. This way, when generating links for subfolders and files, they will reference the correct structure. Additionally, to handle nested folders, the user can incorporate loops in their Jinja 2 template. This allows for the recursive generation of links for each child item. Lastly, the user should test the generated links in their web application to ensure they navigate correctly to the respective HTML files. This testing is crucial to confirm that the links are functioning as intended. Fun fact, did you know that the first website ever created is still online? It's a simple page about the World Wide Web project. Talk about a blast from the past. Now let's look at the answers provided by other users. An alternative solution was provided by a user who successfully resolved their issue. They created a functional template that generates a recursive sitemap with relative links for HTML files. Their approach includes checking for the .html extension and dynamically building the links accordingly. They also shared their updated Flask application script, which includes changes to serve documents correctly from the static directory. Notable modifications were made to the send_docs function and the make_tree function to ensure proper relative paths are generated. That wraps up that answer. Let's move on to another one. An alternative solution provided by another user suggests enhancing the original code with additional if statements in the for loop. This approach checks if the item name contains .html. If it does, it creates a link to that HTML file. If not, it simply lists the item name without a link. This method effectively organizes the sitemap by ensuring that only HTML files are linked, while other items are displayed as plain text. The user also notes that they couldn't find changes in the Python or CSS code, but they emphasize the importance of this structure for clarity. Let's move forward and look at another answer. An alternative approach involves using Flask to dynamically generate a sitemap. The user suggests creating a function that retrieves all the resources from your Flask app's URL map. This function checks for rules without empty parameters and collects the endpoints along with their HTTP methods. The function returns a dictionary where the keys are the URIs for your links. This method is dynamic, meaning if you add more HTML documents or Flask routes, the sitemap updates automatically. However, it assumes you have a Flask route for each HTML document. Here's the tip I promised. Always double-check your folder structure and ensure your paths are relative to the root of your Flask application. This will save you a lot of headaches down the line. And there you have it. You should now be able to generate a recursive sitemap with relative links in your Flask app. Remember, keeping your links organized is key to a smooth user experience. If you found this helpful, Hit that subscribe button for more tips and don't miss our next video on optimizing your Flask applications.